The first Noel, the angel did say, was to certain poor shepherds in fields as they lay, in fields where they lay keeping their sheep on a cold winter's night that was so deep. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. They looked up and saw a star shining in the east beyond them far, and to the earth it gave great light, and so it continued both day and night. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel. Noel, 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 born is the King of Israel.
Alrighty. Hello, everybody. Welcome in to another episode of the Full Sun Half Mast Podcast, episode 154. And tonight, it's time to get on a soapbox, hand out some not so wanted, maybe needed Christmas gift, Christmas special episode here on the Dega Boys Broadcasting Network. Should be a fun one. We're going to talk about maybe some potential NASCAR point system being leaked, or at least being said that we may like it. Maybe I'll do some speculation on that here with you guys tonight. Also, is that time of the year where we're getting to the end. Most motorsports are over and through for the season. We do have a little bit of off-season stuff with Asian Monsters, which we'll be talking about throughout the rest of this off-season before we get into bigger racing that we go along with. But motorsports.com posted their official top 50 drivers of 2025. And I'm going to get on my soapbox because there's a lot of things on this list that I do not agree with. Or it's autosport.com that posted this. There's a lot of biasing, especially towards the F1 series. Not a lot of respect for any of the other racing series like sports car racing, NASCAR, IndyCar, you name it. I'm going to give you my top 10. I'm going to go over their top 50. Kind of put some of these in order, or if I think they're overranked, highly ranked, underranked, whatever it may be. There's a lot of discrepancy here. I'm gonna get on my soapbox a little bit. We're gonna rage and complain about some of the rankings that they put out for the top 50 drivers of the year, because I think that it was kind of a sham. I think it's kind of a sham. So we'll go over that. Also, we usually do the 12 days of motorsports. Me and Tom talked about it last week on the podcast, and we completely spaced it this year. So instead, I came up with a 10 gift thing for certain drivers, fan bases, teams, whatever it may be. I've got 10 special gifts to hand out here on this happy Thanksgiving, or happy Thanksgiving, this happy Christmas special here with you guys tonight. And there's just a small amount of news for you guys here as well this evening. So let's start off with the first thing I do want to talk about. Let's talk about Greg Biffle. Tragic accident, unfortunate, sad day, not only in just motorsports, but in life in general. Makes you realize like how crazy things can be and how crazy things can change in such a short amount of time. It wasn't too long ago where Greg Biffle is kind of a quasi mentor to Cletus McFarland when he started making his NASCAR run. Also had a lot of big impact. If you guys watched the podcast with Cletus McFarland last year on the Dell Jr. Download, he spoke very highly of Greg Biffle and a lot of his humanitarian efforts, especially with the hurricane issues that they had there in North Carolina a couple years ago or last year. Just before Christmas, ends up having a I don't want to get too far into details, but tragic plane accident, and ends up taking his life and lives of others on the plane as well. Greg Biffle, 19 career Cup wins. He was a Truck Series champion, an Xfinity Series champion. Has the most races consecutive without DNFs in NASCAR history. As a guy from the Northwest myself, he is kind of a legend at a lot of the tracks that I've been to, raced at. Holds a lot of records at a lot of those tracks, giving the representation to the Northwest, which we have very little in motorsports. So it's one of those guys. It's kind of like a local hero. I mean, I've got a placard or a license plate, like a Hooters license plate of Greg Biffle. He was always one of those guys that you would cheer for. Came close many times to winning a Cup Series title. If you go back to the 2005 season with him and Tony Stewart with that battle, looked like that was the year he was going to get it. Didn't happen for him. Could have been the first driver to win all three National Series championships. He was still competitive all the way to the end. I mean, he ran a Truck Series race a few years ago, like a one-off for Kyle Busch Motors or KBM. Ends up winning it. I mean, a fantastic driver. I think he ran some SRX races. He's run some of the Freedom 500s of recent. He ran some Cup races for NY Racing. Made a Daytona 500 start in 2022. Just a legend. Won a lot of races on the West Coast. Kind of the guy on the Northwest that kind of opened the door for for future motorsports drivers. We saw Casey Kane come out of that era as well, out of that uh northwest area. I think that a big factor being making motorsports, or specifically like NASCAR and IndyCar, more popular on the West Coast or on the Northwest, with Portland International being added to the schedules for IndyCar and for NASCAR. Um, yeah, living legend, and it's gonna be interesting to see what kind of. I see a lot of uh throwbacks and a lot of tributes to him on the internet. A lot of people have done a really good job with that, and it's crazy. It's crazy to think that more of those type of accidents will happen more often with the amount of travel that these teams do, right? Like every race they go to, they basically fly to in private jets, and it makes you kind of realize like these type of things are can happen. I mean, Alec Kowicki got the Hendrick deal way back in the day. Um, Davey Allison helicopter, but still, Dale Earnhardt Jr.'s plane caught on fire a couple years ago. Um, just makes you realize how these things could crop up at any time, and makes you put into perspective really the amount of travel that these guys do and the amount of air that can happen in private jet flight. But honor Greg Biffle here on this awesome Tuesday. Also, I thought I mentioned it. Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell will both be returning to the Chili Bowl Nationals this year. We are just about, goodness gracious, 2.5 weeks away. I know Christopher Bell ran this weekend at the Illinois Center. They had a little race there. Team-Ez ends up winning the race. I watched the highlights of that yesterday, which was pretty entertaining. So yeah, got some more Kyle Larson, Christopher Bell action at the Chili Bowl this year. I'm excited for Chili Bowl. I think it's going to be another banger of a Chili Bowl. And every year it seems to be that way. Me and Tom have talked about it in the last couple weeks that we're probably going to do a watch party for one of the prelim nights. We'll probably pick a night with like some of the heavy hitters or something. One of the usually like a Thursday night or a Friday night usually has the big hitters. So we might do a watch party for one of those nights. Maybe we'll do it on Monday for the Race of Champions. I don't know. We haven't figured it out yet exactly, but we'll get that all sorted out over the next few weeks or over the next week or so. And then we'll also do a Chili Bowl Saturday night. We'll do the C main all the way up from the opening ceremonies all the way through to the end of the night as we crown ourselves a 40th annual Chili Bowl this year, which is pretty crazy. They've been doing it 40 years in a row there at the SageNet Center there in Tulsa, Oklahoma. And then the last little bit of news I did want to cover with you guys here tonight. We talked about it last week. We still have no idea what the 2026 NASCAR points format is going to be in all three top national series. There's so many speculations out there. We're going to stick with the same format we have now, but reintegrate it into a different way where we have like a 4-race sample and then we have one race, whatever, the wild card, whatever. Like a 4-4-3 or a 3-3-4 or something weird like that, or keep it exactly the way it is. Potentially, most fans want to see a 36 race season again, a full season's points format, which I find that very unlikely. And then again, we might get a chase format, like a return of the 10 driver chase, or maybe make it a 16 or a 12 driver chase, and we just run to the last 10 races of the season. The most consistent driver wins the championship. That could be a possibility. Me personally, I would like to see a 36. I would like to see a 36 race season. I know it's not going to be practical. It's never going to happen. But if we do have to compromise on anything, I would like to see just a 10 driver chase. And I don't want any gimmicks winning you're in or any of that bullshit. I just want to see if we do a 10 driver chase, leave the playoff points the way they are, or however you want to work it. Give more points for the points finish at the end of the year. Maybe more points if you win races. Just make it where winning still is important, right? You could still do that just by giving them more points for wins. But then also make it where points are also important, so you get more points at the end of the season for where you finish in the point standings, and then you can reset it one time just before the 10th or before you start the 10 race chase, and then just boom, race it out. Who's the best? How'd you do all year? It's gonna matter, and then how you do in the 10 races is gonna matter. That's kind of what I want. But Chris Rice of Colleague Racing said, I guess they've got leaks. It's out there. The rumors are circulating in the inner NASCAR universe or whatever, and he says fans are gonna like it. Do I trust Chris Rice and Colleague Racing with the dumpster fire of a team that they've had over the last few years, and their all up their illusion of what's going on in the sport and how successful they are and what they've done driver wise? Do I really trust him 100% on what he says? I don't know, but if he's optimistic, I guess that's kind of what we have to go off of right now. So let's see. Hopefully, I I hope by next week, or at least in the 2 weeks time, podcast time, we are sitting here talking about what the championship format's going to look like in NASCAR going forward. And I hope it's something that someone that has been a NASCAR fan for multiple decades now. I would like to see something that returns kind of to a root system, something that I enjoyed. I talk about it all the time. Me and Tom do with the 2010 through 2012 was like the best era of NASCAR history. Like it's like those 3 years with the COT car, the chase, the way it was all designed, some of the best championship battles. Like that's if we get something close to that in NASCAR, I mean, we'd be on the right track. I know it's a pipe dream and it's lost, and that's a formula that can never be replicated. But we can get somewhere close, man. I could compromise with that. And having a rooting vesting interest with SVG, with Trackhouse is doing with Zilich, and then with Chastain. Like I'm excited to see what Trackhouse does in the future. I'm jumping on this Trackhouse bandwagon. Huge fan of SVG, super fan of Connor Zilich, and who can't not like Ross Chastain. So I'm excited to see what the future Trackhouse racing has in store. And if we get something that makes a championship or a point system that's rewarding for fans like me or old school fans, and brings legitimacy back to our championship, as well as creating superstars, that as we have potential to have multiple guys in the Cup Series right now that are superstars in the making, and we're able to get them to a higher standard with a legitimate championship and super license points being earned, and giving these guys opportunities to create big brands for themselves. That's kind of what I'm hoping for in the future. So we'll see how that goes. We'll see how all that goes. All right, the main point of this podcast tonight. I didn't know what I was going to do on this podcast. I knew I wanted to do something special with the Christmas theme that we always do, so we'll get to that at the very end. But Autosport posted their top 50 drivers of 2025, and there's just a lot here that is just mind-boggling. So I'm not going to go through every driver one by one and rant and rave on each of them, because I'd be here for 3-4 hours. But let's start off with our top 3. We have Verstappen at 1. I totally agree with that. We have Palou at 3. I totally agree with that too. I mean, the order, irrelevant, because I'll tell you my top 10 here in a minute. I do like those. But we got George Russell at 2. He won, 2 races this year? Didn't do anything really outside of that. I mean, I could pull up his stats, but does it really matter? Top 2? Ahead of Palou, just that's a bad look. We have Sebastian Ogier. I'm not a rally car guy, so I'm not going to really knock that one too much, because I don't really watch it. I don't really know a whole lot about rally car. That's kind of the one. Rally racing and drift and drag racing are kind of the 3 motorsports I respect. I watch from a distance, but I don't pay attention, don't follow it completely. So I'm not going to argue with that one. There's got to be a reason why he's ranked there at the 4th spot. Charles Leclerc 5 makes no sense. Makes absolutely no fucking sense. The guy didn't win a single race this year. I can't even remember a time he was on the podium this year. No poles. It's an F1 frenzy. That makes absolutely no sense. In anybody's right freaking mind, putting Charles Leclerc top 5 driver of 2025 ahead of, let's talk about some of the drivers that are right behind him. Lando Norris. Say what you will about Lando. You know how I feel about Lando and McLaren and all that bullshit. And Oscar Piastri was over there with McLaren as well. With all the drama and the clownery and the Zach Brown bullshit and all that BS with McLaren, there's no reason in hell that Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri should be ranked behind Charles Leclerc and George Russell. In F1 terms alone. We're not talking about the top 50 drivers of 2025. So that's absolutely ridiculous. Robert Kubica. We'll talk about him more in a minute too, because he's made my top 10 cut. But this man won the 24-hour Le Mans this year. He had 4 top 5s. I mean, we'll talk about it in a minute, but that he's behind Leclerc. Oliver Rowland, your Formula E champion. We'll go over his stats here in a minute too, because he made my cut for top 10 drivers of the year. But every time I watched a Formula E race this year, this guy was winning or in the top 3 on the podium. Dominated the series. And you're going to tell me that Leclerc, who did nothing with Ferrari, is ranked ahead of him? And then Denny Hamlin, 10. Again, I don't like this fucker at all. I don't like Denny Hamlin. I can't stand him. But the stats are stats, man. We'll talk about those in a minute too, because he made my top 10 cut. But how are you putting guys like that in front of him? Hulkenberg at 11. I'm okay with that. I still think that's a pretty high, but whatever. You know, I'll live with it. And then we got 2 more. Pierre Gasly at 12. Yes, I like Pierre Gasly. Yes, I think he's a top tier talent in Formula One. Yes. But when you're grading the top 50 drivers of 2025, stats have to mean something. What did Pierre Gasly do this year? I don't think he even scored more than 10 points all season. All season long. How is he 12? Isaac Hadjar. I mean, yes, great rookie season, but putting Hadjar in front of Kimi Antonelli in terms of F1 for rookies this year is an absolute crime. A crime! Whoever wrote this is a freaking numbnutted retard, man. You cannot legitimately put a list out like this with any type of integrity or self-respect to do that. Alex Lynn, 14. I can respect it. There's a few things that they did this year I don't understand. But putting Kyle Larson behind and Alex Lynn, or even a Nico Hulkenberg, or a Pierre or an Isaac come on, dude. And Kyle Larson didn't have a fantastic year, but he won a cup championship, guys. Come on. Taylor Bernard, okay. Nick Cassidy, okay. Kimi Antonelli, 18, still I feel like it's way too high, but it's still too low if we're going based upon the seeding that we have here with Isaac Hadjar getting a nod over Kimi Antonelli. Kimi Antonelli had an amazing rookie season, multiple podiums. He had a stretch with like 2-3 top 2 finishes in a row. Make it make sense. William Byron at 20. Kevin Estre, 21. Felipe Nasr, 22. I get it. It makes sense. Him and Nick Tandy kind of went on that tear at the beginning of the year, won 3 straight races to start the IMSA series. I'll talk about Nick Tandy in a minute, but I think Nick Tandy not making this list was an absolute freaking fraud. Pat O'Ward, 23. I don't get that. I feel like Kirkwood, which is sitting at 29, should have been higher than Pat O'Ward. Again, the McLaren glazing. Let's be real. Pato had a good year. He had a good year. Was it great? No. We went through driver grades in IndyCar a few weeks ago, and he wasn't even a top 5 driver. Well, I think he might have been 5th on our list of drivers from IndyCar this year. For him to be the 2nd rated IndyCar driver on the list makes absolutely no sense. Let's see. Brock Freeney, 25. I can respect that. I'll leave that one alone. Ayuma Iwasa, your Super Formula champion this year. I feel like that's super underrated. Again, Formula 1 gets the nod over Super Formula, gets the nod over Formula 2, for obvious reasons there. IndyCar, I mean, I feel like Super Formula and IndyCar are almost at the same level as an F1. They're just a different version of what it is. And same with Formula E. I feel like Formula E is a good indicator of open wheel racing. It's just Formula 1 gets the nod over everything. Shane Van Gisbergen pulls in at 31. I can't hate this ranking. I probably would have put him a little bit higher, but regardless, I think the stats kind of mean something. He won 4 to the 5 road courses in the Cup Series. I think he won a couple Xfinity races. Probably led the most laps on road course in the Cup Series this year. Had a 12th place points finish. His oval racing had an improvement through the year, but the stats weren't great, so I can kind of understand that. Uh, let's see. Antonio Fuoco. I feel like that's a disrespect. Same with Nicholas Nielsen. They're both Ferrari drivers in the World Endurance Championship with the AF Corsa team and then with the factory team. I know Pierre Guidi's in here somewhere, which I think is I think that's kind of a shame that you would put Fuoco over Guidi. I think Guidi's done a lot more this year than what Fuoco did. Pierre Guidi's always kind of been that wheelman, the time setter. The and Fuoco's kind of been like the consistent guy to run the mid stints. I think that I would have gave the nod over Pierre Guidi over Fuoco any day. And then Will Brown at 41. Absolute disrespect to the V8 Supercars series. Absolute disrespect. I know he finished second in the standings, but with the amount of wins he had this year in the V8 Supercars, I feel like that's a major disrespect. Alex Albon at 39. How? I mean, if we're grading it through like May, sure, I could see a 39. But then again, like, he had a better season than Pierre Gasly, but I think Gasly's a better driver, but it still doesn't matter. I feel like they're just going with these rankings, it feels like it's more centered around perception and hypotheticals than it is stats. And I feel like if you're ranking the top drivers in the world, stats have to mean something, guys. This is ridiculous. I don't know who wrote this or what panel came together to come to this conclusion, but this is just absolutely asinine. Carlos Sainz at 38. We have Christian Lundgaard at 35. See, disrespect to Lundgaard. I mean, he had a great year. Again, stats, but I would have put him probably late 20s, but he gets the mid 30 mark here. Don't get it. Matthew Jomine. See, I don't even know if I'd put him in my top 50 this year. He wasn't even one of the top 8 sports car drivers this year at all. And then you get Kelvin Vanderlinde behind him, who had a much better year. So that's another thing that makes no sense. Like, Vanderlinde should have at least been 39, 38, or well ahead of Matthew Jomine. Luke Browning, your F2 champion, I guess. I feel like he probably should have been ranked a little higher. Somehow Lewis Hamilton with the number 47. I mean, I get it. He won a sprint race this year, but again, Ferrari didn't prove anything to me. And if you're going to rank Charles Leclerc at 6 and then Hamilton at 47, when Leclerc didn't win shit, and at least Lewis Hamilton won a sprint race. And then if we're going off of the other theory that I had, which we're going off of speculation or hypotheticals or past achievement with a lot of these, how did Lewis Hamilton end at 47? He's a 7-time world champion. So none of this rankings makes any sense at all, man. Like, I just don't get it. Oliver Behrman at 48. Who in their right mind? I mean, I understand. Like, when you watch him, sometimes you're like, holy shit, he's like one of the best drivers in the world. It's unbelievable. But then there's other weeks where he looks like an absolute clown. So I don't get that. Ash Sutton. This one was interesting. He was second in British Tourer Car Championship. I mean, I don't watch a whole lot of British Touring Car, but this is a name I know, and I'm glad he made the cut at 49. I don't know if that's justified at that ranking or not, but there's a lot of this stuff that doesn't make any sense. And then I think the biggest disrespect of all of this, they put Connor Zilic at 50. At fucking 50 in the world. The second most premier stock car racing series, which me and Tom call the premier stock car racing series on the planet Earth, that's just NASCAR Xfinity Series. He had the most historic season of all time. The absolute disrespect. The absolute disrespect. And then not only that, he finished, what, 3rd or 4th at the Rolex 24 in a GT3 car? Made a couple truck starts with some top 5s, top 10s. This list is so Formula One eccentric. Let's count how many F1 drivers made the cut. We have 1, 2, 3, 4, 5. 5 in the top 10, and then 6, 7, 8, 9. Going through this at 9, 10, 11, 12, 13 F1 drivers made the list. 13. That's crazy. That's crazy to me. That's absolutely insane. Out of the top 50. I don't know who wrote this. This whole top 50 is just ridiculous. Me and Tom have just posted the hell out of this all over Discord. So if you guys go to Discord, I think we posted almost every chat channel. We posted in community, F1, NASCAR. We posted everywhere. Share your thoughts on what you think of these rankings, because I think they're absolutely ridiculous. There's so many things that logic is against itself in, and then when you think it's like, oh, maybe it's based on stats, well, it can't obviously be on stats because we got Charles Leclerc at 6 and is Isaac Hadjar at 13. So stats don't matter. And then you're like, oh, well, maybe it is like who they think are the best drivers, right? Like who are in your mind hypothetically the best drivers. But then you put a guy like Connor Zilich at 50 or a Alessandro Pierguidi behind a teammate. When he's more consistent and better. And then you got a Kelvin Vanderlander behind a Matthew Jomine. And then you've got a Kyle Kirkwood who had his best career season way down the list as well, who's one of the most formidable street course drivers on planet Earth. And then you would disrespect a Kyle Larson at 15 and then a Lewis Hamilton at 4. Like, this is embarrassing. Autosport should be embarrassed with themselves with this ranking. This is absolutely asinine. I can't even justify any of this. It pisses me off looking at some of these rankings because they make no fucking sense. It makes me want to make my own top 50 list, which I went to top 10 to spare you guys all the gory details of all these stats. But when I sit down and I rank my top 10 drivers, which I did it without any bias, without any preconceived notions, without any historical data, any historical stats. I just sat down and said, what did these drivers do in 2025 to earn their ranking? Because if we're grading drivers, best drivers of 2025, that's what you do. You go based upon stats and results of the 2025 calendar year. If we were going to rank the top 50, if they would have put top 50 drivers in motorsports, and then we made a list of this, sure, a lot of this I could maybe justify. If we're thinking these are the top 50 drivers, if we were like blindly picking and said, we're going to take the top, we're going to grade 50 drivers. 50 drivers that we would put in a 50-man go-kart race where they're all in the same equipment, everything's the same, and we're going to put them all in a go-kart against each other, and we're going to see how they all stack up. We're going to pick 50 drivers to compete in this. I could see how we could come up with a list like this. But that's not what it's labeled. It's the top 50 drivers of 2025. Autosports teams of expert journalists get together to try to assess who were the top 50 drivers of 2025. I swear, it's like how do I compare this? It's like the Heisman Trophy. Coveted is the most prestigious single award, individual award on planet Earth, right? And if you guys don't know anything about the Heisman Trophy, it's voted on by a panel of media members, right? There's like 50,000. I don't even know how many fucking people vote on, but there's a lot of people that vote on this Heisman Trophy, right? But it's voted on by media members who have preconceived notions, biases, don't watch the games, maybe they're stat huggers, I don't know what it is, but they kind of come to an unanimous decision on who wins a Heisman. That's how it feels like with this top 50 drivers. It feels like we have not expert journalists, which I'm not going to say all of them are bad. We're not going to just completely slander all of them. I don't have a list of names. I'm sure there's a lot of credible sources that made this list together. But I guarantee that there was some people on there that don't look at stats and they just go off of basically preconceived notions and feeling to put this list together. And that's just a crime to motorsports. This is why motorsports on a grand scale are disrespected. Because people that should respect it to the highest regard are disrespecting it. So why would anybody else take this shit seriously? The fact that you rank a Lando Norris and Oscar Piastri behind a Charles Leclerc or even a George Russell for what they did in 2025, asinine. Asinine. Completely ridiculous. So, with that being said, I'm going to give you the actual top 10 drivers of 2025 based upon stats, results, and pure racing talent and ability this season. The number one driver of 2025, according to me, the only accurate grading system of our generation here at the Dega Boys YouTube channel. Number one goes to Alex Palou, Indy 500 champion of 2025. IndyCar season champion of 2025. Had it secured 4 races ahead of time, which is something that doesn't happen in modern day IndyCar. It's only been secured early a few times in the past few years, and most of those have all been Alex Palou. 8 wins, 778 laps led, and an average finish on the season of 4.1. 4.1 average finish. Clearly head and heels above every other driver of 2025. And to rank him any lower than 1 or 2 or even 3, I think if you don't rank him in the top 3 of anybody's list, you are an absolute bona fide moron. And I have zero respect for your input and your analysis on motorsports. Honestly, I think if you rank him lower than 2, it's disrespectful. I think he is the bona fide number 1 driver of 2025. And I don't think it's close, but I don't think it's any closer than really it should be. Number 2, Max Verstappen. And yes, he didn't win the world title. Yes, he didn't have the fastest car all year, but that has a lot to do with my ranking. He had like 112, 120 something point gap at one point in the season. Championship was over. He fought it back and lost by 2 points at the end of the season. Won the last 3 races of the season. He ended with 15 podiums out of the 24 race schedule, 8 wins, 8 poles, and then that massive point comeback at the end of the season. That has to mean something. With probably like the third or fourth or fifth best, third best car on the grid behind McLaren and Mercedes. Unbelievable. And almost claimed the world title doing so. I would rank him number 2 behind Alex Palou. Number 3, I would put Oscar Piastri at 3. I would put him above his teammate Lando Norris, with the consistency he had all season long. He had 16 podiums, 7 wins, 6 poles, and an average finish of 4.2. When you're splitting hairs here, yes, he didn't get the world title, but he had a better average finish, and he tied Lando in wins and had less poles, and less podiums. But the average finish has something more important to do with me, especially with the way his season started and kind of the collapse at the end of the year, which we'll talk about with Christmas presents here at the end of this podcast episode. Number 4, I'm going with Denny Hamlin. I think Denny Hamlin deserves the 4 slot here. He had 6 wins, 14 top 5s, 18 top 10s, 1,024 laps led, and finished second in the title. That was the best NASCAR driver statistically all season long. Say what you will about NASCAR. Say what you will about the points system and format. I don't think it really matters if he won the championship or not. You look at his stats. Out of a 36 race schedule, half the races he finished in the top 10. 50% of the races top 10. That's absolutely freaking insane. He led 1,024 laps. To get to the 1,000 lap lead mark in a season is extremely fucking hard in this modern day NASCAR. It is so hard to lead laps. It's so hard to run up front. With the parity that we see in NASCAR, with the random cautions, the stage cautions, the manufactured races with the pit stops. It's really, really, really hard to get to that century mark laps led on a season, and he did that this year. Unbelievable. And he had 6 wins, the most in the series, on all different types of tracks. It's something to commend. And then 14 top 10s, which is just shy. Well, it's about a third. Well, more than a third of the races this year. He finished top 5. Unbelievable. Number 5, that's where Lando Norris slots in. 18 podiums, 7 wins, 7 poles, and an average finish of 4.3 with the Monaco Grand Prix win and the world title. I mean, granted, he had a lot of help team-wise with McLaren to get there. But he stepped up in the biggest moments. He captured the title with the absolute pressure that he had behind him with Max Verstappen closing the gap late in the season. Didn't let it affect him and crumble him to a point where he choked it away. He actually managed to secure it. The 18 podiums out of 24 races. There's 6 races all year he didn't podium in. And then the 7 wins, 7 poles. 1 win shy of what Max Verstappen was able to do. Tied his teammate Oscar Piastri in wins. He had a great year. Number 6, this is where Connor Zilic steps in here. I feel like the Autosport.com did an absolutely terrible assessment of Connor Zilic in 2026 or 2025. The absolute disrespect of the second tier series in NASCAR, the most premier stock car racing series on planet Earth, the Xfinity Series. He had the most historic season, 10 wins. He won 10 of 35 races this year. Unbelievable. 20 top 5s. 15 races didn't finish in the top 5. And he missed races this year. He didn't run the whole 35. I think he missed like 3 races this year. With the back injury and the collarbone and everything. 23 top 10s out of the 33 races he ran. He had 23 top 10s. And then 1,013 laps led. He hit the century mark in the Xfinity Series. Like I said, now hard it is to lead or to lead laps in NASCAR with the parity. And then the biggest stat of all, which I think is the one that should be commended, he had 19 or 20 consecutive races with top 5 finishes, the most in NASCAR history. Most top 5 finishes consecutively in NASCAR history. Unfreaking believable. Future superstar right there. And finished 4th or 5th in the Rolex 24 in his one-off sports car start that he made this year. And then he made a couple Truck Series starts. I think he had 3 starts. He had 2 top 10s and 1 top 5. Kubica. The 24-hour Le Mans winner. That's a big feat, especially a race that got away from him last year when they ran over that BMW and lost their track position when they were able to make it back up. It was like a redemption tour for them this year. And then they also had 4 top 5s, which was a huge feat, especially with how competitive the World Endurance Championship was this year. You saw the resurgence of Porsche, Toyota at the end of the year. BMW was strong throughout portions of the year. And then they also had raced for the works team, not even the factory Ferrari team, right? So Ferrari's got the 2 factory Ferrari teams that run straight, the branded Ferrari completely. Then they have a third car, which is their works team, which is kind of an independent contracted team. They get a lot of the same information. They run the same car, but they don't have the engineering backing them. They don't have all of the monies completely backing them. They're not a factory manufacturer team. And they were able to secure 4 top 5s, win the Rolex 24, and outcompete them on several occasions this year. Absolutely amazing. Nick Tandy. I'm putting him at 8. He only made 3 starts in the WeatherTech Sports Car Championship this year and won all 3 of them. He went 3 for 3. He won the opener at the Rolex 24, which is a big one. He won the 12 Hours of Sebring, and then he won at Long Beach. So he won the most prestigious race of the series. He won the second most prestigious race of the series, which you could argue maybe Petit Le Mans is maybe second. I would still put Sebring ahead of Petit just for the fact that it's a longer running series. It used to be a doubleheader with the World Endurance Championship. It used to be the Super Championship Endurance Race of the Year. And then winning on a street course at Long Beach, which is one of the most difficult tracks to win at. Not only to put a qualifying time up that's good enough, but then to not make mistakes with that narrow track, moving through GTD traffic, moving through GTP traffic. That's a very challenging, demanding race. Mr. 24 is what I call him. He's won every major 24-hour race in the world. He got the final one this year with the 24 hours of Daytona. Uh, I think he deserves the number 8. And the fact that his sample size this year was so small, with only running the 3 races and going 3 for 3, unbelievable. Unbelievable stat line. Next, I'm going with Oliver Rowland, the Formula E champion. He had 4 wins and 7 podiums. Like I said, I don't watch a ton of Formula E. I try to catch at least 4 or 5 races a year. And every race that I watched, he was on the podium, winning the race, dominating the race, whatever it might have been, and won the championship in basically a landslide by the end of the year. He is definitely the number 1 guy in Formula E right now. He drives for the best team. And Formula E is a fun, interesting sport because you have the different line you could take for extra energy boost, and you get to use it for a certain amount of time. And the way he is able to strategize his races and put himself in position with the ever-evolving track position changes, the ever-changing strategy that's involved with Formula E, to be able to dominate the way he did this year is super impressive. And I feel like Formula E gets a lot of disrespect because it's what you call a washed-up Formula One series. It's a bunch of old Formula One, Formula 2 drivers, some IndyCar drivers, some sports car drivers, guys that just never really made it and succeeded in Formula One, and they find a home in Formula E, and Formula E is a good product. It used to be bad back in the day. I will grant you that, when they had to make pit stops and change cars halfway through because the energy supplies didn't work. But as technology's advanced and competition's advanced, the series has become more and more elite, and it's a series that if you guys don't watch at least 3 to 4 races a year, you're missing out. And I think the best race of the year is the Monaco E-Prix is the best race of the year. In Formula One, it's follow the leader fest. You qualify and pole, you're going to win. And usually there's only like 2 passes all day on track for position. Not in Formula E. Formula E, it's all race long. You're trading spots. It's one of the most entertaining races of the year of all motorsports. And he got the job done there as well. So congratulations to him. And then number 10, this was tough. There was so many drivers that I could have put in this position. I contemplated George Russell, but his lack of consistency kind of killed it for me. A lot to do with the driver I selected at 10. His inconsistencies were kind of there with me too. I thought about putting Felipe Nasr on here. Him and Nick Tandy kind of went on that little run there at the beginning of the year with the 3 straight wins. He would have been a good nominee for this. Alessandro Pierguidi was a good selection for this with the amount of wins that they had with Ferrari. I think the car had a lot to do with it, so that kind of prevented me from putting him on here. I thought about Shane Van Gisbergen with the dominance he had on road courses, but I think the oval prowess right there kind of hurt his chances in this whole deal. I thought about putting Hulkenberg in there just for an honorable mention, just because of what he was able to do in that Sauber this year and the amount of points he scored. He got his first career podium. That would have been a cool story. I also thought about putting like a William Byron in there with some of his success early in the year, but his, again, kind of like George Russell, his inconsistencies prevented me from putting him on this list. There's a lot of guys I could have put here. I thought about Kyle Kirkwood with his career best season in IndyCar. I thought about putting Kevin Estre in here, or even some of the Vantor brothers in here as well with some of their big wins, especially Lawrence Vantor winning the first 2 races of the year at Sebring and Daytona and the GTP, then jumping into GTD at Long Beach and winning it. He would have been a good option. I did think about that's really it for the guys that I thought could fit that 10 spot. I went with Kyle Larson at the 10 spot. Again, he had 3 wins early in the season, tapered off. He did claim the Cup title. He did win the Chili Bowl. You can't forget that. And that's a big race. I mean, I don't care what you say. I think that's one of the top 10 races of the calendar year. Definitely top 15. One of the most prestigious races in the world. He had 15 top 5s, which is just short of half of the races this year was top 5s. 22 top 10s out of the 36 races. He had 22 top 10s. Great consistency. He broke the century mark with 1,106 laps led. I think he deserved the 10 slot here for me in 2025. That's a legit ranking of the top 25. I have stats to back it up. All these drivers had phenomenal seasons. I think I mentioned about 15 drivers I could have put in the top 10. I think those are your top 15 drivers. I think you could adjust the order to your liking. The only ones I would disagree with is I think Alex Blow has to be top 2 regardless. If you can make a case for Lando Norris at the 1 spot. I wouldn't argue it. I wouldn't get too angry with it if you wanted to put him above an Alex Plo. I believe Plo deserves at least the top 2 spot. I think Denny Hamlin deserves the top 10 spot. I think Zilich deserves one. Nick Tandy, for obvious reasons. Oliver Rowland, I know if you don't watch Formula E, I think he deserves a top 10 spot. Piastri obviously deserves a top 5 spot. Max deserves a top 5 spot. Um, and from there you can kind of rank how you want. But I feel like if your list doesn't comprise of one of those 10 or those 10 drivers, your top 10, or maybe even some of the other 5 or 6 that I mentioned as honorable mentions, then your list is invalid and fraud to me. Excuse me. So that's my top 10. I had a bone to pick. That was pretty much the whole point of this podcast. I wanted to break down all of that for you guys because I've been reading it the last few weeks or the last few days, and I just can't. I can't with their top 50. It's fraudulent. Fraudulent. Alrighty. We got about 10 minutes left here in the podcast, and that's perfect amount of time to go through my 10 Christmas gifts for the 2025 racing season. First off, let's start with Ferrari fans. I believe this year they deserve to have access to a time machine or a time portal so they could relive the glory days of years past that will never seem to find them once again. And also, can we just make sure we issue that time machine a security blanket and a box of Kleenexes so they can cry themselves to sleep with their high expectations and low achievement? These are the types of people who have the optimism anybody would strive to have, but the clarity nobody asks for. The most delusional people in all of racing could potentially be all of the world. And it makes you feel bad for them. I feel bad for them. Because these people think that they're going to conquer the earth. But they can't even dig a hole. Sad. Sad group of people. They're going to need a big off season. They're already claiming fictitious championships that they haven't even won yet for 2026. Wins that are out of grasp. They're out of touch with reality. Please grant them your wishes and blessings this holiday season. Next on the chopping block is McLaren fans, who for Christmas should just go touch some grass. I know it might snow where you live. Go dig a hole, touch the grass underneath. Get some fresh air, some cool, brisk winter air, or maybe some nice warm summer air if you live in the other part of the world. Get off of social media. Turn your phone off. Sit by a campfire. Go and take your dog for a walk in the park. Take a lap around your city. Go run a mile. Do some yoga. But stay off of social media. And avoid the cyber bullies who are just waiting for you to post your simp reply to the internet, your femcel response to reality that you so severely deserve to be cyberbullied of. Just put your phone down and enjoy the holiday season. Go touch some grass, get some fresh air, and live a joyous couple weeks during the off season. NASCAR. That'll be my third one. NASCAR. Next time you get in a lawsuit, please hire the attorney that got O.J. Simpson off. Because you guys flopped this entire NASCAR trial and debacle to the absolute worst with all of the leaks and all of the bad tension and bad sportsmanship and really shitty attitudes and behavior that you have shown over the last couple decades of the sport. Really tainting your brand, your identity, and your souls. May you please hire a social media team that has mastered the art of gaslighting, so you can save the little fan base that you still have moving forward into 2026. Can you repair that damaged reputation that you so bearingly hold over your head like a cloud or a thunderstorm that follows you around wherever you go? Number 4 goes to Denny Hamlin, who needs to cash in his 401k, prepare for retirement, and buy that remote island off in the Caribbean somewhere, and just stay away from the internet and any mobile screen for the next 3 months or 2 months or until Daytona. And I recommend you go start yourself your own go-kart racing league with a bunch of 8-year-olds so that hopefully maybe one day you can finally win some type of championship at some type of level somewhere on planet Earth before you call it quits and hang that helmet up for the final time. You were a failure, but you did best NASCAR. Number 5, I'm going to Team Penske with this one. You guys need a copy of an updated IndyCar rulebook with all the cheating scandals and all the bullshit that has happened over the last couple years. Maybe you should hire yourself a translator or someone that could study the rule of law and focus in on all the fine bullet points of that rulebook. So we have no more cheating scandals or cheating issues going into the future, and you can actually put on a successful racing product on track and not embarrass yourself like you did in 2025, where you had a guy with geriatrics who you kicked out of your racing team, being really the only saving grace of your entire season until Joseph Newgarden did finally get that win at the end of the year. Can you guys bring together a package of reliability and something of honor and do it the right way by following that rule book here in 2026? Number 6 goes to Joey Logano, who needs a first-class ticket to Turkey to save the last few remnants of the hair that has been long gone. You see the photos. He looks like Walter White on the Breaking Bad. I don't know if this man's going to just embrace the baldness or if he's just going to wear a hat all the time. But please, maybe you can. Excuse me. Get a ticket to Turkey. Get your hairline situated here in 2026. Number 7 goes to Connor Zilic, who needs to absolutely leave NASCAR and pursue an IndyCar career or move through a sports car career where his legacy will not be stained by a pathetic point system that we're hoping isn't flawed moving forward, and kill what has the potential to be a highly successful, legendary legacy here in NASCAR or in motorsports in general, because he has got the potential to be an all-time great in motorsports of the likes of Senna, Foyt, Andretti, Stewart, a Gordon, a Johnson, a Palou, a Verstappen, a Schumacher. He has that potential. Can he do it? Number 8 goes to Chris Wright, who is returning full-time to NASCAR in some capacity. I grant him a map or an instruction manual or a video guide on how to enter pit road safely before he seriously hurts people and puts everybody around him at complete fear and danger. Let's see what happens here in 2026. And also, number 9, I'm going Max Verstappen, who deserves a Nobel Peace Prize for bringing hope and sanity back to the world and humanity and the internet with that incredible points recovery at the end of the season to make it interesting and to make make those McLaren fans sweat it out to the very bitter end, to save us from the toxicity of the femcel army, the incel army, and the clown army, led by their master-in-chief, their Lord and Savior, Sacriel L. Brown. And then number 10 goes to Oscar Piastri, who needs to change his number to Me Too in 2026 after the massive screwing that he endured here in 2025. Maybe next year, the Trojan condom brand will adorn his car, as he's going to need protection from all that Zach Brown and the femcel clown army and the barrage of absolute hatred and insults towards the Australian people. Save this man's soul in 2026. All right, that was pretty dramatic, but those are the gifts I had to or give out to these drivers or teams, fan bases here in 2026, 2025. I thank you guys so much for a great 2025. It was so entertaining. Everything on the internet, social media wise, all the product that we saw on racetrack this year. We had some great racing, great championship battles, some awesome storylines, some dominance this year, which that's what me and Tom talked about a lot this year. This 2025 season was the year of dominance. We saw McLaren dominate in Formula One, just absolutely dominate. Alex Palou dominate IndyCar. Zilich and Heim dominate in Xfinity and Truck Series. Corey Heim, that would have been another good option for a top 50 driver. Honestly, didn't even think of that until right now. And then we saw Formula E with Rowland dominate there. Sports car racing, Ferrari dominance. In IMSA, we had Porsche dominance. It was the year of dominance, and Dennis Hauger dominating Indiana NXT. I mean, the list goes on and on. This was the year of dominance, and it was fun to watch. And every once in a while, you have to have a year of dominance so you could feel like that legitimacy in motorsports. And we got that this year. And a lot of people look at that and be like, well, we want more parity. But I feel like every once in a while, you just need to see the cream rise to the top. And we saw that in 2025. I don't know what 2026 has in store. Lots of changes. IndyCar's silly season ramped up, and there's a lot of changes there. Sports car racing, with the emergence of new manufacturers, is going to be interesting. Formula One with the new regulations and new teams coming in. That's going to be interesting. NASCAR, we have no idea what the championship format's going to look like next year. I'm excited to see what that has in store for us. We got big time rookies. One big time rookie in the Cup Series. Lots of different changes in the Xfinity Series next year. Brand change, everything. It's just going to be a very fantastic 2026, and we're closing in on that season here really shortly. So that's all I have for you guys here tonight. Hopefully you guys have a very, very Merry Christmas. We'll be back next week. Tom will be on here, and we're going to go over our bold predictions for 2025, see how we did there. And then maybe we can get Tom to rank his top 10 drivers of 2025. That should be pretty interesting. See what his thoughts are on that. See if he agrees with some of my rankings or if he's got some different changes there. And then also we'll be making bold predictions for 2026. And we're going to be also doing a Formula One 2025 driver grade segment as well next week. It's going to be a packed podcast, so you aren't going to want to miss it. We're going to wrap up 2025 the right way and then get into old 2026. Man, I'm excited. Thank you guys so much again for tuning in. If you guys want to follow us and stay up to date with everything happening on this channel, all of our social media platforms are on the page for you guys to follow on the screen above, as well as in the description below are all the links to those as well, so you guys can go follow us or stay up to date with everything happening with the channel. Also, down below is a link to our Discord where we post all motorsports news, rumor, drama, memes, whatever it may be, with all motorsports around the world. If you want to stay up to date with all of the hard-hitting, pressing news, our Discord is where you find it. Post your own news, post your own drama, memes, rumors, whatever it may be. We love when you guys do that. We love interacting with you guys. It's just a fun time. A lot of great people in our Discord. Come join the best racing community on the internet. Also, a link down to our merch store. I know Christmas is here. Hopefully, you guys have already ordered your Dega Boy merch, but if you haven't, it's not too late. That shop is up 24/7, 365. Get you guys some Dega Boys merch. Rep the boys. All those proceeds help us make bigger, better content for you guys here on YouTube. Also, thank you guys again so very much. What an awesome year. Hopefully, you guys have a great rest of your holidays, a fantastic Christmas. Hopefully you get everything you want and not everything you deserve, or everything you deserve, not everything you want here on this holiday season. And make sure to tune in next week. Next week's going to be an awesome podcast. Like I said, we're going to be ranking all the F1 drivers. We're going to go through all of our bold predictions for 2025 and then set new ones for 2026. And we're going to see who did better, me or Tom, with bold predictions in 2025. I haven't even looked at it. I know it's posted up on our Discord somewhere. So we'll see how good we did here in 2025, and then we'll prep you guys for 2026. So thanks again. Merry Christmas, and have a great rest of your holidays, great rest of your week, and we'll catch y'all in the next one.
We wish you